Bodybuilding fans and athletes around the world, welcome to another episode of Primetime Muscle. I'm Tim Wilkins, joined by these two great guys. Tarek Gilgindi, what's going on, buddy?
It's been a tremendous season. I've been able to see some great champions. Olympia's coming up, and I cannot wait.
Chris, you are coaching some great champions, and
yes.
You were a great champion for a long time, if still a great champion of food and fashion.
That's
How are you,
right.
buddy?
How you doing, my man?
Good.
To see you.
Well, bring it in. We never know quite what
wait,
to do.
we don't know. I was with the suit on. I felt like I needed to be like this.
Yeah, Chris looks like my personal injury attorney now. You look good.
Thank you, my man.
Yeah.
Thank you, brother.
Guys, some of the guys that have, you've always got these great stars that we are waiting for them to get their qualification. Nathan Asha is one of my favorites, going all the way back to COVID when he was telling the British police to pound sand.
Yes.
You know, they tried to close his gym. He wanted to train. They said, it's a 1,200 pound fine, mate. 1,200 pounds, now pace off. He won my admiration during COVID, and he's just such a great physique all around.
Love Nathan Asha. He was at the New York Pro about 5-6 years ago, and people fell in love with him. He was on the second call out. Then he came to California, and he was on the first call out, fighting to win the title against none other than Steve Kuklo.
The snake.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and actually Chris Cormier was there.
Coaching him.
Chris Cormier was
Well,
there.
I was on the team, basically.
Yeah, Chris Cormier was there, and I vividly remember this story. Do you mind if I bring it up? Chris Cormier was his trainer. He looked incredible. And then Chris asked Nathan, what do you want to eat after the show? And Nathan Asha said, man, I'm craving some chicken. And Chris almost had a stroke listening to that. Chris is like, I'm your trainer, and I'm thinking of donuts, and after the show, you want some chicken? So, and then, you know, this guy has won 10 pro shows. He is
12.
the prophecy, 12 pro shows.
One more than me. He
is-
had to remind me.
He is the prophecy. He was a phenomenal bodybuilder, great conditioning, great body parts, and I love him. I think the Olympia is better with him. Let's see if he can get through.
The Olympia was without him last year, which was a travesty. He couldn't get a visa to come here for some
Well,
crazy
he
reason.
arrived. He was at the airport at the immigration, and apparently there was some issue there, and he couldn't get in. So, you know, that's unfortunate. He couldn't get in. Bruce Tabani couldn't get in, as millions of people just get in our country. But it's okay, you know. Let's leave that to the side.
Through Texas.
Yeah, he could have come through Texas.
Could've just
And then,
walked
of course, they're
across.
always worried, you know, are they flying international and are they a terrorist? And it's hard to be a shoe bomber at that size when you can't reach your own feet.
Exactly.
You can't put a bomb on his back.
Can't say that word,
Bomb? It's not the airport, man. I can say it.
I know,
The
but
man
don't-
can't reach his back or his feet. He's not going to cause any problems.
Don't say bomb. Don't say
Some of the stuff you said on this show, bomb, is the least of our worries.
Okay.
So let's talk about Nathan's physique because it is spectacular. Tarek, look at the fullness
Boom,
in
as
this
he would
chest.
say.
The fullness.
Yeah. He, you know, one of the things he improved was his hamstrings. He knew full well that he didn't have great hamstrings. He's improved that. When Nathan is on, man, the skin stretches so nice. I mean, the biceps, everything looks amazing. And we saw that in Portugal. He's regaining his peak performance, and I'm excited to see what he brings to the Olympia.
Nathan, the great family man, Nathan, I've known him since my first time touching down in Kuwait. He was like into my welcoming party, took me under his wing and showed me the ways around Kuwait and what to do, not to do, what is important, what's not important, how to last out there in Kuwait.
How not to end up in the Kuwaiti jail.
Yeah, all
Yes,
of that. All
good
of
for
that.
you, Chris.
So yes, I mean he's been through a lot. He's torn both biceps. He's he's fought through injuries. He is a hard-working guy, and he stays on his P's and Q's. He eats when he's supposed to eat. As far as if he's going to eat some junk food, he's going to eat that. But he's on diet, as eating with the straight fish. I've seen this guy battle through so much adversity, came out on top so many times, and I was just with him a few weeks ago out there in the Middle East again. And yeah, man, I feel like he's showing these improvements. He's battling hard. I mean, like I said, he's a hard worker in the gym, and I feel like, the muscles that he needs to bring up, he's actually fighting to try to bring those muscles up.
So you both give me an adequate amount of trash when I'm a men's physique guy talking about posing. I like the way the upper body is posed here. It really shows off from delt to delt, clavicle to all the way across, the thickness of the chest. It really popped that far pec over. I think he could sit, if he's improved those hams like he has, sit on that hamstring just a little bit more. But it's a great pose for him that really highlights his strengths.
Absolutely. And one of his strengths is his upper body, super conditioned on top. And I agreed with you, Tim. You seem to be a great advisor to professional bodybuilders. Since the last time you advised
Mr. Olympia.
Mr. Olympia,
Yeah.
Derek Lunsford, on his back double biceps.
One is full attention.
Yeah, so we actually sent that to Derek Lunsford. Yeah. We said, we got this incredible men's physique guy, and he's telling you what to do on the back double biceps. But, Nathan, now is your turn to learn from the great Tim Wilkins. Just sit a little bit so your hamstrings can get a little bit further. Great job, Tim Wilkins.
Yeah,
Here I come across the sartorius muscle, which is an iconic muscle on primetime muscle, along with the clavicle bones.
Yes.
There's one thing about Nathan Asha which structurally does not favor him, which is he's got a long torso. Long torso. You see this? That's a very long torso. What that does, it makes your lats look high, right? So he's got high insertions and a long torso. So I'm going to come to the great master, Chris Cormier. How can you overcome that? What exercises should you do? What kind of posing should you do to kind of offset the long torso that he has?
Tarek is right. He fights against a long torso syndrome. I also had a longer torso than what I would like for my personal preference. What he don't have is short, stubby legs with the long torso. So even though he has the long torso, he still have a good lengthy quad to work with. So when you bring these trunks up a little bit higher, and make sure, because I know that a lot of the younger guys like to wear the trunks low, but he would pull his up a little bit high, maybe cut a little bit higher even, and then in the back, dip down that middle of the trunks. A lot of that happened or came from back in the 90s when a lot of us was trying to see what type of trunk we should wear. But also when you hit this front lat, he has his hands placed purposely just low enough to where you can show some lat, but and also just low enough to where you can kind of not trick the judges, but give an illusion of not having such a long torso. And a lot of the ways you would pose with that type of physique, he's been honing in those skills over a lot of time. So he knows what shots he needs to hit in order to mask some of his weaknesses.
Well, I will say, I won't adjust your insights there, Guru, but I'm going to say I really admire on a front lat spread like that, the thickness in his chest and upper chest is not washing out. Normally a lot of the guys, they lean that back and it just flattens out. He's so dense up top. His delts are just popping. Arms, that's a really good front lat spread for him.
I mean, look at the chin. The chin is hanging between his boobs, and he's got that nice smile on it. It's a massive, massive chest.
I had an aunt that could do that. It was impressive.
Okay. Okay.
And then the back double biceps, tuck in the thumbs. I like that, so you don't have the thumbs hanging down, pointing at the delts. You want the less amount of distractions you can. If I was him, and what I teach my guys is to turn that head to the left as hard as you can, or to the right, depending on how your traps develop at the top. What that does is give them a little bit more cuts, a little bit more mass at the top, middle of your head and back.
Well, this goes back to one of my Camp Cormier things. Tarek, you're talking about how can we widen out the that high lat insertion.
How can we Kai Green him?
How can we Kai Green him? Chris, there are two moves you were really adamant about. One is that front pullover and the regular pullovers that will help develop this area in through here, as well as that regular pullover either with the ropes or with the bar. There's a few areas that will pop that midsection out there.
Yeah, and then all depends on the type of stress you give that area. So if you're just flying through your reps, not really contracting much, not really utilizing that latissimus dorsi on the way up, and in the negative form and also the positive form with a lot of force, that's what's going to give you more size in that area.
Now there's a bent over row or two that you could do, but you want to be careful as you start to get into things like deadlifts that you're not thickening the waist.
Yes. The bent over row, they also have some nice ones that's almost like a machine bent over row. And also with the cable you can use the 90-degree form, which I teach a lot. I love that exercise.
You did that a few months ago with Keon and Sean Clarito with their 212 battle.
Yep. And they loved it. They loved it. And that's going to give you more mass across the top through those rhomboids and teres majors, teres minors. That's where you want to thicken. Also for the back double bicep, you want to have the thickly muscled in this area. But when you pinpoint those areas, when you train, that's where you're going to get the development that you need.
Well, Judge, we got to wrap this segment. We're looking at a very balanced physique from top to bottom. The sweep is nice. The calves look good.
Calves. I mean, I like the definition he has, in the glutes, and he was great condition.
His best placing at the Olympia has been 7th place. He needs to regain that form to fight for the top 10. If he is at his best, Nathan could be in a first call out. The key question is, can he regain his top form of 5 years ago? If he can, he's fighting for a first call out. If he cannot, then he's going to, fight for a top 10.
Well, he beat Bonac for the first time this year in the whole history of their competitions together. Although he placed behind him in the Dubai show, but he did a few competitions in different countries, and I think he's just taking the show by show and picking and choosing where he want to compete methodically and financially.
Well, we're just a few weeks away from the Olympia. We will see how he peaks and what he brings to the biggest stage in bodybuilding. And when we come back, you have brought up this competitor quite a few times. We're talking about Ashley Jones and what kind of threat she poses at this year's Olympia. When we come back on Primetime Muscle. Guys, it is largely considered the New York Pro is a big indicator and one of the bigger shows to make a name for yourself in your division. Ashley Jones won the New York Pro this year, women's bodybuilding, and she's making a big splash. We're going to talk about really what kind of impact you think she's going to be making up there with Angela Yo. We've got a few that have retired since last year and the year before. A lot of jockeying in women's bodybuilding.
Well, Andrea Shaw is the queen. She's won 4 times. And, a lot of people speculate that it's very hard to get close to her. So who's number 2? So far, Angela Yo. But the New York Pro brought to the stage Ashley Jones versus Levina Barros, who won the Romania Muscle Fest. They're 2 of the best lines in women's bodybuilding. And Ashley Jones prevailed at the New York Pro. She's now a New York Pro winner. And I think that's a show that tells a lot of people you're ready to fight for the Olympia. It's our 3rd biggest show, and she beat Levina Barros, who had just won the Romania Muscle Fest. What does she have? She has phenomenal lines, which is what Andrea Shaw has. Does she have great conditioning? Yes. What is she missing? Size. Now, her history is she competed in figure, then she moved to women's physique. When she was in women's physique, on my segment on Olympia News, I have a segment after the Olympia, the competitors to watch. Even though she took 12th place at the women's physique, I said she's the one to watch because I saw the genetics. And sure enough, she's now a serious contender at the Mr. Olympia. We saw her performance at the Rising Phoenix. She was stellar. And with the New York Pro, I think Ashley Jones is making a move to chase down Andrea Shaw.
Well, Jessica Reyes, I credit her for putting me up on game with Ashley Jones before the New York Pro. And I sent these photos to you, and I said, look at this girl. I think we're looking at the winner of the competition days before the show even happened. But I saw the genetic potential. I saw the flare of the quads, hitting the poses and everything. And I was like, man, that's kind of wanted to get to know more about her before the show was even started. Because I'm like, man, this is somebody that's really serious and can seriously push towards trying to get the title of the top bodybuilding woman in the world. And I feel like, if she comes in better than she did at the New York Pro, she can very well find herself fighting for the title in the nearest time, either it's this year or next year. It don't matter because she's a serious contender.
Well, let's take a look at her. Let's put her up on the screen. Now, guys, I know she's got some mass necessarily. You love the lines, some mass to catch up to Andrea Shaw. And even Andrea Shaw, who I absolutely love and think she's an amazing Miss Olympia, seems almost downsized a touch from the era of Iris Kyle, Vicky Gates, Yakseni Oraken, that late 90s,
You're
2000s.
not going to mention Linda Murray?
Linda Murray was just prior.
Okay.
And even then,
she's in her office.
She's in her office.
Beat the hell
I'm going to let her know she's prior.
You know what I mean?
I'm going to let her know she's prior.
Even just past Linda Murray, there was an even bigger era. Linda had the beautiful lines.
Kim Krzyzewski.
Kim Ches was prior to that, and still, she was a little bigger. You're right. So, God, go ahead.
We're just poking at
Listen,
her.
a few weeks ago, you
Body blow.
corrected me, and I've been resenting you since then, okay? I'm a very revengeful
Chip on his
person,
chip
and
on
I'm
his
going to
shoulder.
come after you every single time.
You think a guy that carries a grudge that much would have bigger shoulders?
During the commercial, I'm going to run. What did you just say? What did he just say?
I said a guy that carries that much of a grudge would have bigger
That was
shoulders.
a jab down the middle. Bang!
Hey, do a focus here on me so I can show my big shoulders. Where's the camera?
Classic lines. Small clavicle bones.
Ashley Jones is a genetic marble. She is incredible in the genetics department. Sorry, excuse me. Look at this Sartorius, a.k.a. Chris Cormier muscle right here.
That's right.
Okay.
Get in there, Chris.
Look
When
at
she
the
got those sartorius muscles, she got my attention.
tiny, tiny, tiny little waist, okay? You're born with flaring quads, tiny little waist, and not very large clavicle bones, but her clavicle bones are in good position. This is the type of genetics of Andrea Shaw, of Sydney Gillen, of Shanique Grant, okay? Flex Wheeler, Chris Sartorius Cormier, okay? This is a freak in the genetics department. If she gains size, she can attack Andrea Shaw.
Well, this one, Tarek, is not a very tall lady, so she's on the shorter side. I would say probably anywhere between 5'4" and 5'6" in that area. I think 5'4" and 5'5". She was about
Between
right
5'4" and 5'6", there's 5'5".
This is the son of the father, Chris. So,
But what she can do, even though she's not that tall, is get your posing down to a science. And let's say this front lat spread. I know she's in good position here. She's showing some good development and separation. But if she slid this heel through a little bit more, say like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock with the toes, and a slight more bend in his knee right here, and put the pressure from the ball of your foot all the way up to that top of that sartorius muscle, and pressure that in, but also having your weight distributed on the other sartorius muscle and through the knee. And this foot here is in a good position, just a little bit more bend in the knees and pulling those muscles up towards the judges, up towards the crowd. That's going to give you more separation, more development here, and that's going to distance yourself from some of the lesser development of some of your opponents. Pushing the waist in here, like Tara said, she don't have big wide clavicle bones, but they're wide enough for what she's trying to do in the sport. And I like the bubbly round muscles. I like that all over her body, through the triceps, the biceps, the brachialis, the shoulders nice and capped in that side chest. The back double bicep is also another one that's very dangerous to her with the striated glutes and the hamstrings, nice and deep.
This is a great pose for her, the way she's flared her
Yeah.
knees and her quads out to get the full roundness of the quads and the hams.
And that genetically good size gluteus maximus muscle is nice and diced. The back development is great. I love the little teres major minors there. The rhomboids, everything is nice and thick there. You see the nice peaks from the back. Those peaks are, not a lot of people have that, but they're a distinction of separation of muscle, and that's what I think is going to catapult her to the top of the sport in women's bodybuilding.
Now, Chris, you talk about on that back double bi, you talk about tucking the thumbs.
Yeah.
But she's done something that we talk about a lot that a lot of male competitors don't do, which is rotate enough to see the fingers to get the last little bit of that peak. To get that peak, look at that peak on the left, is beautiful.
See, the peak on the left is there, and you see a little bit of curvature in the wrist. Right here, she can do a little bit more curvature in that wrist right there, and just turn it back just a little bit more, and that's going to give it a little bit more peaks, and you get a lot more pressure on that short head of the bicep.
Tarek?
I have nothing to add. This was very well spoken by the Grandmaster, Chris Broderick Cormier.
I will circle back before we wrap the segment and say, guys, I think this is where Chris was saying that Nathan Diasha should have his suit for the higher.
Yeah.
It's the same color. Just came to mind.
We can get it there.
If we can get it. No, she's got a phenomenal physique. You talk about all the different genetic legends that she kind of likens herself to, from Shanique to Sid Gillen. She's got Sean Clarita's shoulders. I'm jealous. Those are so cannonball.
She's a gorgeous girl. She has beautiful lines. Her personality, man, you interview her, she's full of joy. And when she went on stage in New York, man, the house came down. People just loved Ashley Jones. I cannot wait to see her, at the Olympia stage.
From Austin, Texas, yes. Austin, Texas owned. I think if she moved to Dallas, where the Dallas Cowboys play, I think she would definitely come up with that title.
Well, guys,
that was a dumb analogy.
Can't wait.
The Cowboys are winners. Go Cowboys!
We gave you a nice compliment,
football season.
And you came out with the stupidest thing you've ever said on the show. If she lives in Austin or Dallas, she'll look the same. Dumbest.
All right. We've got one more great pro to talk about when we come back, and how he rocked the Toronto Pro right after this.
You diet down, train hard, and supplement smart for months. When the time comes to step on stage, don't leave your tan to chance. Go with the pros. Pro Tan. #1 worldwide since 1987 and the official sponsor of the Olympia for the last 15 years. Don't step on stage without it. Pro Tan.
And we're back. And there are quite a few athletes in the last couple of months of qualification that were in that 1-2 spot, that were guys that you didn't expect to see there or you did. And it's exciting to see what they're bringing. We had Akeem Williams at the Toronto Pro. Great to see him back. Big Akeem.
Big Akeem, Chris and I are big fans of Akeem. He is, from the side chest, side triceps. Akeem Williams is truly a phenomenal bodybuilder. Goes to Toronto, he's conditioned, he dominates the lineup. Let's talk about John Jewett, right? John Jewett, former 212 guy, following the path of a lot of the 212s that are successful. Let's talk about your boy, John De La Rosa, winning the Tampa.
John De La Rosa, I think his back double bicep pulled it out for him. in that competition. He had the strongest backdoor bicep pose I felt out of the whole lineup. They had some controversy about it. People thought that maybe he didn't deserve to win, that the others, Fuda and everybody, has already been qualified. So the judges nudge each other and say, hey, we got to get John in there. I don't know if you guys, do you guys do that?
Okay, put the camera on.
Did you guys say like,
Okay,
oh,
okay.
wait, let's see who's qualified?
Put the
and
camera
how
on
does
me,
it make us
okay.
money?
Okay, this idea that one athlete is qualified, hence somebody's going to pick the other athlete is so ludicrous, okay? Look at the competitors that have won multiple shows. Ashley Cole Wasser, she's won 5-6 shows this season. Sidney Poitier, okay?
Amy Delgado.
Amy Delgado. I mean, Bruce Tabani. I mean, just look at the evidence before even speculating about something that ridiculous. If we have a competitor that looks better in every single show he competes, he's going to win.
When did that change, though, guys? Because it used to be even at like nationals, if somebody already got their pro card, it went to the person in second place. But that changed.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean the person that is the best on stage is going to place anywhere but being the first one.
But they,
you know what I mean?
say that they say it's politics involved.
Well, listen, here's the deal. Here's the deal, okay? Where was politics when Ronnie Coleman came from
I was speaking for those on the internet.
And I'm responding to everybody who thinks that stuff. Where was politics when Ronnie Coleman came from 9th place to win the Mr. Olympia? Where was politics when an Iranian competitor, Hadi Chupin, that doesn't speak English, right, comes in and wins the Olympia?
They say that's because it's Ronnie Coleman.
Where is?
They say that's.
Well, he wasn't Ronnie Coleman until he won the show. So we have had so many great surprises in bodybuilding, and I'm shocked. I'm shocked that people speculate about that. After we've had surprises like Ronnie, we've had Hadi Chupin winning the Olympia.
And winning, and Ronnie losing the show in New Orleans.
Absolutely.
When he was Mr. Olympia.
I sit at the Olympia judging panel, and I sit with some of the most iconic judges that have been in the sport. And none of us are scared, none of us are fearful to put anybody that we believe in first place if they are the best on stage.
Are you sure?
And all of us, I'm 100% sure. You can come to all of us after the show, and each one of us, Tyler does it on camera right after the show.
I would like to see him
Steve
go up to, I
Weinberger-
would like to see him go up to Steve and be like, I think you did that because you wanted someone else to not qualify or to qualify.
Steve will tell you right after the show why this guy won the show. Tyler will go on the internet the following day and explain why that guy won the show. I will come here and tell, we have full transparency. We want the athletes to understand what is the criteria, and the best competitor will always win.
Well, before we pivot, and that is one of those things that people just need to understand, the best athlete is going to win. There's no secret handshakes. There's no nods and clubs like, hey, there's the guy right there, man. Sometimes you don't even...
I thought it was a nudge, like...
That's the guy right there, man.
They do like a nudge, yeah.
Yeah, that's Hani's guy
That's
right
who,
there.
yeah, he's trained by this person. What about that? They got he's trained by this person, so that means he's going to win.
Oh, Phil Heath was 7-time Mr. Olympia, trained by Hani Rambert. He lost, Hani lost, and Phil lost, and Sean Roden was the champion. No one expected that.
Because he was Chris Aceto's guy.
I mean, I can't control if the guy is somebody's guy. You know what I mean? Everybody has a guy in their lives.
Exactly.
You know?
Some have a baby.
You're the son of a father. Okay? Everybody who's on stage has a father.
That's right.
You know, so they got somebody, and I can't control if they have a father, a coach, a girlfriend, a boyfriend. You know,
A team.
A team. You know.
Team such and such.
In your defense as a judge, and a lot of the guys' defense, judging your favorite bodybuilder from your favorite country by a screen grab of the live feed is not the same lighting and position as the perfect lighting 18 feet away from the judging panel, where you guys have an upshot of a back being posed down at you.
I'm going to give you guys an example, okay? I was at the New York Pro, and I was sitting in an angle on the second row. Right next to me was Bob, Chris. We were watching the show. and we were on the second row. We had a little bit of an angle. And I judge bodybuilding shows, and I'm sitting on the second row. I did not have, from the second row to the side, a proper vision of what took place on stage.
Nope.
And I judged the Olympia. I'm on the second row to the side. And I'm looking at it and I say, I can't really tell who won this show. I can speculate. I can be a fan right now and speculate. But I'm on the second row and I can't tell. The judges are sitting in a position that prior to the event, they calculate the distance to the center. And we check the lights, the photo, everything comes to play so that we have perfect vision.
So when you got it, so even Tarek, when you have a camera, a professional camera, showing a little something, I know for a fact, if you're at a certain distance from the stage, even if you're down the middle, if you come back 25 feet, it's a different show. If you go back 50 feet, it's a different show. It's a whole nother show. No matter what, the judges are in the best position to get the best the best knowledge of who's the best on the stage.
Absolutely. The person who's sitting there right in front of them, they can tell, okay, the separation between hamstrings and glutes. They can tell, the retention of water on the abdominal wall. They can look at a tear, a bicep tear that has been surgically repaired perfectly. They can see all those details. They are looking here and they're on the diagonal. They're seeing competitors that are waiting to pose and they see that abdominal section coming out. I'm on an angle. I'm an Olympia judge and I'm at the New York Pro and I couldn't see none of that. For somebody to make all these assumptions from an Instagram picture is a little bit ludicrous.
Well, I want to circle back to one of the guys you mentioned. I was emceeing the Lenda Murray, the Atlanta Pro last year, and John Jewett was still in the 212s. And just the lines, the graininess, the shape. But when we talked and he said, I'm moving up, I said, it looks easy, that he's just going to put on 20 or 30, and it's going to look like 50. And he really brought it this year.
Yes, he came in, he fell short in Toronto. I was there and I saw he looked a little bit full in the stomach area when he came to the check-ins, but then we got on stage, he controlled it more, but he still has some distinction and some lack of control from the time he stepped onto the stage to the time he left. He got it together, went to Vancouver, and did really well there. So I feel like he was gonna do the Chicago, but something happened at the airport to where he was delayed and couldn't make it to Chicago. But he had planned on doing Chicago before he shut it down. Now he's all shut down until Olympia, and can't wait to see him there.
He actually, a few weeks back, Tarek, put a detailed explanation of where he felt like he fell short at Toronto.
I love John Jewett. He's a very cerebral player. At Legion Sports Festival last year, he took second to Charles Griffin. I had a chance to speak with him, and I said, John, despite the fact that you're coming from the 212, you don't need to add a lot more size. He followed the advice, and now he's going to the Olympia. I also want to mention Mohamed Fouda winning the Chicago, taking second at Tampa. John De La Rosa. I think we have really good guys, and one of them, if not two, are going to attack the top 10.
Why don't you give us a quick critique from a judging standpoint of Fouda's physique and what he brings to the table?
So he has beautiful lines, right? That front double biceps and that front lat spread, beautiful. He was more conditioned in Chicago than he was in Tampa. So my first advice is you need to get back to that conditioning. In addition to that, on the back double biceps, the lats are starting to kind of go up. It's almost like a big Rami thing. It must be something on the Egyptian beans or something. The lats are going up a little bit. So he needs to fix that because he's just starting his career, right? But I judged Mohamed Fouda in 2018 in Tunisia as an amateur, and he was already a genetic marble. And I think if he fixes that, he can be easily on that top 10.
Yes,
Well,
I think so too. And I think also fixing the abdominal wall. You have these big, powerful pecs and shoulders and everything. Your abs got to match your physique, and that back needs to match the front. So proportions are very key. to his ongoing success.
With a shorter stature, it's one of those things you really have to be mindful of.
Yeah, but again, who's winning the show? Hottie, Derek, short stature. So you're shorter guy like him, Bonac, it's a good time.
It's a good time to be shorter. So that's what Tarek says. Hey, folks, it flies by. I hope you had as much fun as we did. We've got fun stuff coming up. As always, like, share, subscribe. But we want to remind you, if you haven't already,
The pay-per-view.
the Olympic pay-per-view, those tickets sold out fast. If you can get to Vegas, the expo is going
And
to be
the overflow party at Club Zouk.
at Zouk and in a watch party. There's going to be ways to see the Olympia in Vegas.
You might see me at Club Zouk.
You're going to see Chris at a lot of clubs. If you come there,
Dan Solomon is concerned. You might not see Chris at the Olympia. You know, we hope you come to the Olympia.
But they said the parties at the shows at the party, the parties at
we
the
got an
show.
important sports event happening prior to the party.
No, but they said the overflow party is going to be. You can watch the show from the club.
Chris planned the party before he planned the Olympia. He qualified for the party.
I'm going to go check it out before the show.
Well-
The month before the show, I'm going to go check it out.
If you can't be there in person, there's going to be a paper Chris. We'll have a camera on him at all times so you can watch and follow him at home. As always, Tim Wilkins, Tarek Elgindi, The Real Deal, Chris Cormier. We'll see you next time on Primetime Muscle.